Good morning, delegates, excellencies, all protocols observed. Kobo Brew Acquaisie is my name. I'm the Civilian Chief of Staff of the African Union Transition Mission. As you are all aware, the transition mission evolved from the African Union mission that had been in Somalia over the last 15 years to support the Somali peace process. I'm here representing the acting SRCC, Madam Fiona Lawton. Now, I'm very happy to be here. Madam Lawton asked me to come and represent her on this science, technology, engineering, and mathematics summit. And that is virtually the brief I got. And so I got up in the morning and I called one of my colleagues and decided to come in. And when I did so, I entered the hall and I was met with one of the ladies and said, "Oh, you'll be saying a few things. Have you been briefed?" Then I said, "Well, no." But then I kind of was excited because if you look on page 9 of your brochure, you will see my background in terms of training. I trained at the University of Sussex in science and technology policy studies. And when we were in the university, at that time, around the 90s, one of the major issues that we were looking at in terms of development, comparing industrialized countries and developing countries, was technology, the studies of technology, the studies of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I'm very happy that some of the issues that Madam Sadiq, in her remarks, some of the questions she was raising in terms of how to harness resources in any environment were some of the questions that we were actually looking at way back then. And I recall in our thinking, we were looking at how technology is transferred from industrialized countries to developing countries. We were looking at how technology ought to be appropriate. There was a whole theory of technology, policy, issues that governments, private sector, and individuals ought to, and even the academia, ought to develop in order to mobilize and harness the knowledge base for making change in their communities. So we was very much involved in that. And then when I left university and got my first job in the UN, I was initially from the United Nations. I happened to join a team that was preparing the Human Development Report. And one of the tasks I was assigned was to look at how technology affects or could affect poverty. And the analysis was very interesting because we were looking at technology transfer as a basis for driving change in an economic environment or in an economy. But then in the course of the analysis, we kind of started thinking that we need to now begin to look at technology choice, that the receiving community, the receiving entity, the country, ought to have a view and an understanding of the technology that it wishes to apply. And that is where the whole idea of now having the training, having the research and development, making sure that you have policy analysts who understand, policymakers who understand the whole nature of technology, and to really have the institutions, the academic institutions that are training individuals in science, in engineering, in the whole idea of technology, which I would want to sort of define as the making of artifacts. Technology, science, technology, maths has a very big practical dimension, and Ambassador had mentioned that. That practical aspect is really what makes this whole issue interesting. Because for you to have any kind of change in an environment, you need to have a way of making things. You need to have the knowledge base to make it. For instance, if it's a cup, you have to have a knowledge base for how to make it. You have to have the machine tools. You have to have the tools for making whatever that you plan to make. You need to assemble a body of knowledge that will continuously guide what you are making, and to improve that knowledge on a continuous basis. So we looked at that Human Development Report, and we kind of came to the conclusion that it is not just the transfer of technology that really propels change, but it is actually the choice of technology. And to do so, to be able to choose, the recipient ought to be trained at the same level as the transferor of the technology. And that's where the training and everything then becomes the policy that becomes necessary to ensure that the training is interesting. And that's why I said I was so excited that I was asked to come to this summit, because I have a background in it. But going back to my own present assignment as a chief of staff, somebody will say, but what is the African Union Transition Mission got to do with science, technology, and mathematics? And I want to put to you that we are deployed here as massive peacekeepers. We use water, we create waste, we dispose of waste, we drive vehicles, we have vehicles, we use fuel. Now, in doing so, we need to ensure that our footprint in this location is continuously assessed to ensure that we make no harm or leave behind any harm. And so the mission, which is made up of the military, also includes civilians and the police. Now, the civilians then are the ones that provide this kind of support in terms of environmental impact. So, for instance, in the African Union Mission, we have a whole SOP that is looking specifically at our environmental footprint, that where we are deployed, we ensure that by the time we are leaving, we leave it in a state that is either much better than we found it. And to do so, we need to make sure that we have the experts. So within the civilian component, we have a whole mission support that has engineers. It has technicians. It has all kinds of artisans that get deployed in terms of our work. And that is really the practical aspect of doing the science, the technology, and the environment. That is the practical aspect of it. So we, the African Union Mission, are very much involved in delivering, actually doing the delivery part. The exciting part of all this is that we also have, as part of our program, quick impact projects that we occasionally engage in, and we do so in partnership with our Somali counterparts. And one of the important aspects of technology is the transfer of knowledge. And that transfer occurs by interaction, learning by doing. And so one of the benefits and possibly the interaction aspect of our presence here has been the continuous engagement and working with Somali-trained engineers, technicians, Somali contractors that are contracted to engage in building boreholes, for instance, that require the use of certain engineering knowledge, the recruitment of technicians to assist our own engineers in terms of construction of police stations. Now, all that work is science-based. And if I want to continue, I might exceed my talking time, and I need to yield to my other colleagues to come here and enjoy. But I want to say that personally, I am so happy to have come back to talking about science, technology, and engineering. But I also want to thank the organizers for inviting ATMIS, and I'll convey the information that I've gathered here to the mission, and we'll certainly be looking forward to the communique that would sort of provide a way for how the African Union mission would sort of enhance its collaboration with the Somali engineers, the scientists, and the mathematicians that are assembled here. Thank you very much.